3 minutes. Is this on? There's 4 on? Okay. Does it say who they are? They're not our staff. Oh. Good evening, Roswell. Welcome to the public forum. With me this evening is Toby Franco, our code enforcement supervisor, Todd Forsiglio, our property manager. Also with us in the audience tonight, we have our mayor Jennings with us, Councilor Hildebrandt, Councilor Howard. Last week, we've asked people to submit their questions. I have those questions with me tonight, so we'll be able to answer those. Go through them, get those online, leave us your phone number or an email address, and we will definitely read and kind of have him explain what the community development
director for the City of Roswell. I think the Community Development Department has 18 of the finest in the entire city. And the Community Development Department is important for everyone probably going to need our services. Within our organization, we have the Planning and Zoning Division, which covers all the planning and development needs. We have our code enforcement. We also, though, have our business license division, which is one of my favorites. And then last but not least, we have, so for the 48,000 people that live in our beautiful city, y'all will end up in our office at one point.
With one of the questions that we received this week was about dilapidated structures. So the person that handles all those for the City of Roswell is Toby Franco, our supervisor. Dilapidated, maybe it's vacant, weeds are overgrown on that property. What is the process of notifying the owners of that property? How do
once we get a report of a dilapidated structure in the town, most of the time it'd be a citizen. Sometimes it'd be, we always take either a building inspector or a building official with us. We go and we research the property, send out a letter, see if we can get a response. We don't get a response, and what we do is we put it on the resolution for city council, bring it to either tear down the property, abate it, or whatever means we need to take care of the problem.
And at the end of the
one thing that I gotta say is that the property owner is always going to be the property owner. The only thing when we demolish a property, what people don't understand, they see the city go and tear down a property, they automatically think we take it over, which we don't. We just put a lien on the property and try to satisfy.
The building inspectors can go out and they will start the process by, and they refer to it as condemning a piece of property. The building official has no authority. Only the city council has that final authority to say, yes, this property is condemned. You typically have a large list of properties. Which of those properties you're going to?
Not as bad. we get a house that's been a real problem with PD, the ones we try to target first, and then you got like a house that burned and is a total loss.
It's very long of condemned properties. Many, and I know this from working over in that department for a number of years. The many of the property owners that own these, the families have left town. Now that property has come into disrepair. Nobody's here to take care of it. The children or the grandchildren is not interested in take over that property and fix it back up. And families live in it, but not always does that happen. So the last lien, that not very often do we get these liens satisfied. So thank you, Toby, for answering that question. Talk to us real briefly about the other activities. Code enforcement just does.
That's one thing right now. I have all my officers working on strictly weeds, because we had put out a public announcement last week about send weed notices to their out of town owners, and those, like, again, just like the condemnation, we have to present. I like to get everybody started in cutting their weeds now because autumn is coming up, before they dry up and then they become a fire hazard.
Exactly.
And that's it.
And I can speak to briefly, Kevin may allude to some of this, is our building inspections division, building inspector, plumbing mechanical inspector, and electrical inspector. So in most cases, not always, but in most cases, we are able to, and we go to build a building and we're waiting on a state inspector. We could wait weeks for electrical inspection or a building inspection, and developers and stuff to get more responsive to their needs as far as the buildings and stuff. So
We provide to all homeowners, to all business owners, whether you're starting a new one, to come by our office and spend a few minutes with our building inspection team. Talk to our customer service, name of a contractor you're working with. We want you to come in, talk to our building inspections people, make sure that the person you're dealing with.
well, thank you, Toby.
So I'm in charge of the city's surplus property. We have over 90 parcels, varying in acreage sites that are above 25 acres. So we do have some room for some bigger development that's happening. So, but we do have a lot of great locations for homes and businesses. I also deal with the process. It's cleared off. The bill basically comes into a form of a lien, which I manage. So if you want to make payment arrangements, city lien with it, come and talk to me. We have ways to be able to help you.
Thank you, Todd. Kevin, I'll turn over to you now. And food truck, how do they do that? What's the process? Where should they start at?
How much time have we got left? Because I could fill the whole, and we have been promoting, is the small entrepreneur. We want the way things go, so I'm going to go through it real fast. But there are similarities, whether you want to, and we have all those forms that are available online at the Community Development Department. You just go to the Community Development webpage, click on form. A little bit of back and forth between the state, the city, the feds, and things that have to be done. So just real quick, for anybody who wants to start a business, the first thing you're going to want to do is to go to LLC or a C Corp or for-profit, non-profit, doesn't matter. Everything starts there. When you're done at that point and you've got into our small business registration, you come back to the New Mexico, again, the Tax and Revenue Office, and you get your GRT number. Business put together, make sure you're all legal, make sure that you're collecting, and I know everybody knows what gross revenue tax, GRT, is all about, to turn them in, because that's what keeps our city running. Not only your good business sense, but also bringing in that addition.
With that being said, a way for us, and we've talked about it for a number of years now, about providing a location to where a new business or anybody conducting business with the city can come into that facility into one stop, one shop, once like that. We're excited that we're getting close to that. So why don't you talk a little bit about the new one-stop shop?
Yep. When I came to Roswell 18 months ago, we wanted to have our community development department and all of the divisions within it to have a single zoning issues. You get all your questions answered on building issues. If you were starting a new business, you get all those questions answered. And you have the people right there at our Development Services Center. You just spoke, in fact, Todd may be able to give a little brief, but we did a little bit of maybe as early as next month. and then have hopefully a wonderful grand opening that this department has had for several years, and that is to become the most business-friendly it is to come and do business in the city of Roswell. And that one-stop shop, our Development Services Center, that's going to be the way we're going to get it done.
Very good. And I realize, I understand that we're not there yet, but this is a step in that direction. We strive to keep moving in that direction, so it makes it easier for people to come do business with the city of Roswell, to open up a business, to build a new home, to build a business here. And we will continue to the code enforcement department, and then you're taken to the zoning department next door, and then back to the code enforcement department, and then maybe up to engineering, and it's answered as far as it goes as development and doing business licensing.
Shall we move from the small business to the bigger businesses?
To the bigger businesses.
To the bigger businesses. Like I said, we know we're not perfect. We're working hard to get as close as we possibly can. Larger businesses, larger opportunities coming our way. And if you watch our plan developer, know a restaurant owner, or anybody who wants to come in, the process for obtaining their business license is relatively the same. We're assuming, though, our office will make sure we get it right. But with respect to the larger builders and larger developers, we want people to reach out early and often. Blocks, because we will identify potential problems early. We'll be able to make sure that they're getting the right kinds of permits, and we can get things into a cycle that will allow people to get their horror stories about some other cities here in the state. But again, the goal is from a customer, and let us work the process with you. Don't assume that you know absolutely everything. Come and talk to us. You know, we don't charge. There's no entry fee at the front. I sit right near the front door. I greet everyone that walks in when I'm there. So I encourage you to come on by my office. Let's talk and let's make sure.
Doing to address the growing homeless population, because it does have an effect on our businesses, especially our downtown business, about the homeless situation in the community, the effects that it's having on our community, not only the residents that live here, but also the downtown businesses that are dealing with it. So we are a wide problem, but we're going to come up with the best solution we can for our community and try to implement that. So those discussions are going on right now. I don't have any answers for you, but I'm sure things will be reported in the Roswell Daily Record as we have more of these meetings and things in our downtown area, and we're well aware of that and are working hard to try to come up with a solution to help mitigate some of the problem. The downtown area and water harvesting. Now, that can be a part of quality of life and things like so.
Touch on the purpose of the planning and zoning division.
Microphone.
There we go. Try that.
Okay.
The purpose of the planning and zoning division. What zoning and development codes that allow for consistency and consistency in the development process. You want to make sure that you have compatible difficulties. We walk you through the planning and zoning process. There's a use permit. We walk you through what does it take to get a conditional use permit? What is the meaning of a conditional use permit? Now, ordinance. We have a wonderful landscape ordinance, but things have changed so much. A month ago, I was in front of the legal committee, I believe, and we were discussing the things that needed to be updated within our planning and development code. Quality of life issues, things that we need to address that need to go into the planning and development code, such as urban forestry or an updated, we need to know. So everybody who's listening, everybody in the audience, everybody at home, I would invite you to mark the fourth Tuesday of every month on your calendar. Come on down here, get that rewritten. We will present the documents to our legal committee. Once the legal committee gives the blessings, they'll hand it off to the full city council, and it will become code people if we don't have input from the people who live here. So we invite everybody to come on down, talk to us.
And that's a great segue to get into once a month. I realize there's several people online tonight. Many people may watch this in the months ahead. So the information is going to get out. We got Roswell. Let us know what you think, what you want. Call your counselors. I guarantee you they're all available to you. They will listen to you. If you'll go on our website, there's at the bottom on the front page, there's a place called the Fix It form. I believe it's up in the middle of the page. But just click on that Fix It form. You can report anything that's going on in the community right there. Seeing that. If you don't want to get a response back, you don't have to give us any information, personal information. But if you would like for someone to reach back that pothole that you run across on South Union, you can report it there. We may not know about it yet. Just in case, and I don't believe I mentioned it, that our website is roswell-nm.gov, and then you can find that Fix It form right there. Kevin, what have we missed on your stuff here?
The Fix It form receives a lot of activity, and they do come across my desk. I see every single one. I make sure that it gets routed to the right person. One of the things that maybe Toby can address is, yes, certain quality of life issues are within our scope, our sphere of doing things. Set standards for parking on street or off street. We don't do, we just can't do that and be fair to everybody across the board. So maybe that's something Toby could address real quick, is give us an example maybe of.
They sent me a Fix It form about a trash can, that they needed a trash can. Like, I don't have sanctuary. They were wanting the trails cleaned and a little area mowed, and the park department is the ones that does that. But there are things that we do. Overgrown weeds and grass in the alleyway, which we ask people to cut along the fence line in the alleyway. When it's the liabilities of hitting a gas line, a phone line, a fiber optic line, weed complaint. So,
Okay. Todd?
You mentioned the park things, but when you get those, do you forward that to those departments? I think that'd be good.
Thank you.
Something I'd like to add, I get a lot of phone calls and interest on the condemnation side where people see a notice, they see the houses can iterate that the city doesn't own the property. Just because we put a lien against the property or because we condemned it does not mean that we own it yet. We wouldn't wind up owning the property unless we seeked jurisdiction unless we took the lien to court to go out and look for condemned properties, and you find some. The best bet is you can come by my information. I've got some public information on who owns the property that goes to someone who may live out of state. Basically, you would contact that homeowner, negotiate a bill of sale with them, wind up getting a quitclaim deed or a deed transferred over to you. Then once you're permits as a new homeowner, or you can have your construction professional pull new permits that will stop that condemnation process. Because if you're like, we don't want to tear the house down, people who are deceased, family members that have no control over the property. So I would encourage folks to sit down with that. Maybe that property needs to be transferred to someone. There needs to be a power of attorney in place or something like that, a representative, so that there is somebody, property owner.
Very good, thank you. Citizens and everybody that's here tonight, is there any questions? Councilor Perry?
One more thought you may want to touch on that where it needs to be. It just means the process could be started or go through the proper steps to rehab a property. So maybe
That's
let our folks know that.
that's on the building official may put that up on the building, but there is a process. Nobody's coming for your home tomorrow, the next day. There is still a possibility to get in front.
And property may go through the council, get condemned. The property owner comes in at a later date, pulls the appropriate permits. That takes we got several citizens watching us online this evening, so.
And I would just like to tell you, I think the number one thing that I think this council needs to have, and what Roswell needs more than anything else, is real simple. JOBS, jobs. We need jobs. We need at the base, which is hard to take, but that happened. And, I think sometimes we might have been a little aggressive when you raise our rent 400%. Did we cut it down to 300 or 250 or 200% increase, whatever. We haven't had those discussions. It bothered their property's worth, and we should have had that now. That might have been done on the other side of the, with the city manager, but it hasn't been told to us, and I think we should like to have that. The other thing, I think, look very closely at the financial stability of our community. We have some issues that we have to address. Water, like a $3 million bill for some of the water wells, as I recall. That was about it. We've had some other issues. I think we have some real financial solid and work on the financial stability of our community, make sure we're in good order. It's really nice to have, when Mike talked about for the homeless people that are here, it appears we're getting a lot, some different people that aren't normally from here. You get a custom number or a bus number or something, so we can identify those people and find out what is causing our problem. But trying to figure out, they did try a thing with some of the homeless individuals, and that just means that when you have something like that, you're going to have at least 2 officers, a male and a female, are going to for it, depending on how many people you get in one of those facilities. But we have to identify where we can put them. And calling with the city council, a positive response. Chad, Mr. Cole was there, and yeah, it's a problem. We've got to look. We've got to look at it. People don't understand. We have 45 or 50 out on the street, but there's 45 or 50 kids in our school system that are homeless. So we have issues that have to be addressed, and the Homeless Coalition, hopefully we can get with them. That was our goal, was going to be that we can keep them. So we're looking at things. I have a very good council that is real strong, and we're looking at issues, and we're there, and we're working through it.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll concur with what he said there, that we're having a lot of conversations right now with trying to address issues as they come up. Sometimes it's not as quick as some people would like to have them answered, but this is a big truck, and it takes a little bit of space to turn it around. So we're going to turn it around. You that would like to say anything? Everybody good? All right. Well, I appreciate so much our councilors showing up, citizens of Roswell, and we appreciate what each and every one of them do. I guarantee you, if they're not here tonight, they're probably online watching. So thank you from home.
What the mayor had to say.
Sure.
He started off by talking about we need to keep in mind that the number one thing we should be doing does. Whether you're an entrepreneur starting a home-based business, or you're one of our auto dealerships that needs to expand because of all the new electric vehicles coming out, it doesn't matter. We want you to come to us about the jobs that are being created out at the airport. Well, one of the wonderful things about being here in Roswell, shopping right here in town. They're going to go out to dinner right here in town. The money that's created by those new jobs coming to the airport is going to recycle anywhere between 5 and 7 times. Genesis is there. The opportunity to start your own construction company, if you've got the skills, the talent and ability, it's there. The opportunity to start your own restaurant or bar or high level quality of life. And with that need comes an opportunity. And that opportunity is, as the mayor said, we have to keep in mind, I'll circle all the way back to something that I said earlier, which was being the most, is the rest of the state. Everybody is going to build somewhere. Everybody's a day or a week or a month earlier than our competition can. And that's going to be our goal, is to get people, if you come to me, you come to our office, you say, I want to start a business.
That you want to cover, Toby?
I just want to ask everybody, when you call the code enforcement office, if you could please leave a message. I got officers that most of the time they're out in the street doing rechecks, doing routines, running calls, and that's all I ask is people call and they don't leave.
These officers are out in the street. They typically go out early in the mornings and be out till mid-afternoon, come back in the mid-afternoons, do their paper, leave the information at the front desk. They will forward it to the pros. They get used to the people in those areas. They understand where the problem areas are, and they can focus on it. And then in 3 months, we put a fresh set of eyes on that area this officer didn't see. So that's a great point. If you call any of the numbers, people's out in the field or in meetings or something, please leave a message. Get a hold of me, Mike Matthews, Deputy City Manager. I'm always interested in those phone calls because we can do better. We understand that. We got citizens in this community. We're going to make it a better community. We don't want to stand still. We want to keep moving forward, and we're going to do our best to ensure that our
It just varies, Mayor. Sometimes in the morning, they get in at 8 and they'll run court calls. That'll take maybe an hour. Looking at a house, we'll do that. It just varies, Mayor.
It depends on their court case, so they're sent out at that, and that could happen. Those are mainly in the mornings. Then they're running their complaints. But typically, the best time to catch them was the afternoons. Is there any other questions? Guys, thank you so much. Manager's Dill asked me to fill in. He wasn't able to be here tonight, but I thank you all for showing up, for your patience with me as we. I just want to reiterate again how important those are, because it's not just a phone call that goes to one individual that got busy and forgot to act on it. It's phone calls not being returned or whatever. Please call me at City Hall. I would love to know that. And thank you so much. We have another forum next month. City Manager will be here for that one. The only month we don't have one in is December next month. I know Public Safety is coming up. It's either is what? Foundations. For that is Public Safety. November 15th, so that'll be a good one. I know I got a couple questions on. I wanted to really focus on that the information you hear in weeks to come is still good at that time. Call